Hey guys, Mama Sam here. So today's video, I'm going to stick with the paranormal stuff I'm going to do what I consider to be the top 5 most convincing pieces of paranormal footage / pictures that I've ever seen. Now, despite what you may think from some of the things I've talked about in this channel, I'm actually a pretty big skeptic. Obviously, I talked about, UFOs yesterday. To me, that's a little bit more believable because of just the grandeur of our universe and the probability that we're probably not alone just seems more realistic. However, for me, ghosts, it just feels like everything I've ever seen can be explained away. I am going to start doing some ghost videos or pictures that I've seen that I also think are completely fake, and gonna talk about what I think is going on and basically just debunk them. Because like I said, I am more of a skeptic, honestly, than a believer. Now, that being said, I want to believe. I really do. But I'm like right in the middle. Like, I know that I've talked about my personal ghost stories before, that those things have happened. And it's kind of weird because even though those things do happen, and I do believe they happened, and I do believe that there was some other worldly stuff going on, I don't consider myself a hardcore believer. I don't know. It's very strange. So anyway, if you have any stories that you would like to send in of your own personal ghost hauntings or any pictures or videos, please send them to sharewithmamasam@gmail.com, and I would love to see them, and I will definitely feature them here. This is still a very small channel, obviously, so if you send it, it's going to be on this channel. So with that being said, let's jump in to my top 5 most convincing paranormal photos / pictures. So for number 5, I actually have a picture. It's the only picture that's on this list. Now, the story behind it is that there was a group of teenage boys driving, I guess, home or from a party or to going to somewhere. I'm not sure the exact story, and they crashed. And one of the boys passed away, unfortunately. And you have this picture that once the investigators and the police got on scene, they snapped a picture of it, and this is what they saw. And it's pretty crazy to me. You can see a screaming face. Now, there are people that say that you can see in the background like other figures and a dog. I have combed the picture over and over again. I don't see any of that. I just see the screaming face, which is still incredibly haunting in and of itself. So just due to the fact that this was a police photo, and that the cops were there on scene, all this kind of stuff, and then seeing that, could you imagine, oh my gosh, could you imagine taking this picture and then developing it and seeing that? So for number 4, I don't know the people's names in this. I don't know much about it. I actually seen it on Slapped Ham, and I just couldn't forget about it. And it's this little girl who basically, she is seeing something in this bedroom. At one point, the mom asks, "What are you looking at?" And to me, it looks like the little girl goes, "Nana." Now, they were saying that the little girl was just walking around the room for a long time and just kept pointing at this thing on the ceiling. Like, mom's like, "There's nothing there." And she just keeps pointing. And she starts actually doing math with whatever was in the room. She's doing 1 + 1 is 2. And the mom is like, she can't even believe what she has seen. But I think the most incredible part of the footage is when the little girl starts reaching her arms out to whatever this is and asking for it to hold her. This whole event, I'm not sure how long it lasted. If I had to guess based on the footage I saw, it went on for probably like a half hour that this little girl was talking, I say talking loosely because she's a baby, but talking, interacting, and wanting to be held by whatever it was that she saw on the ceiling. So for number 3, you probably have seen this one. This one's relatively new. It is about the couple in Michigan that have the little girl. They started having some weird things happening in the house. The little girl, she was getting scratches on her face. And I'm not sure how long it took, but eventually they did catch something on camera. And it is something. What they say is, you see a man walk across the camera. They're calling it a man. I don't know why. To me, it looks like an older lady walking by. She has kind of like hunched shoulders and, you know, kind of like wavy hair. To me, that's what it looks like. This obviously isn't her mom, because if you've seen her mom, she's very petite. I don't think it's the dad. They weren't in the room at the time. They were downstairs. And when I learned about this footage is actually from the second story, because the mom says that when she saw this on camera, she ran upstairs to get her daughter immediately. So at first, when you're thinking, oh, it's somebody just walking through the house, no, this was a bedroom. This was a bedroom that the baby was in the crib in. She was sleeping. And this entity just kind of forms, almost like maybe it walked through the wall or just completely formed in the bedroom and just walked by. And the baby in the crib, she even like notices, she like gets up and she starts looking around and there's nobody there. Number 2. Okay, number 2, don't laugh at me, okay? This one I have talked about before. It is so interesting to me, and I don't believe the debunk videos. I don't buy it, because I remember when this case came out. I remember when they did the investigation for it, and I am talking about the Fresno Nightcrawler. Now, I saw this on Fact or Faked Paranormal Files. Let me try to break it down as best as I can, okay? So there is this guy. He is, his dogs are barking like crazy. They just start barking night after night. They're barking and barking. He doesn't know what's going on. So he decides to install some security cameras. Now, this was back in 2007. So before you get all high and mighty on the whole, the camera's nasty and like, why does it look bad? Like, there was no smartphones. You couldn't just whip out your camera real fast and get a picture. Which, by the way, I've noticed with the smartphones, the pictures aren't as good as, like, the videos aren't as good as people think. I don't know, that might just be a personal opinion, but I've taken some videos at night before and they still kind of look kind of blurry. I don't know, that's me. But anyway, so one night the dogs are barking again and he gets up and he checks the security cameras. He doesn't go outside at first. He just checks the security cameras. And on the camera, he sees these creatures walking. So he hurries up and he starts filming what he's seen on the security camera. What's interesting to me about the Fresno Nightcrawler as well is when Fact or Faked, when the team went to go investigate, when you're looking at the video, you know, you don't really know what you're looking at. You see the grass, you see the yard, you see a tree, and then you see this thing walking by. And so the scale of it, it's not as easy to comprehend when you're looking at it. But once the team got there, they were even more surprised to learn, whoa, whatever this was on the camera was insanely tiny. It was very small. They had his son come out, his toddler son come out and try to redo the video of the Fresno Nightcrawler, and you could tell the Nightcrawler thing probably wouldn't even have come up to like his knee. It was very tiny. So to me, that added a level of, well, what? Also, when you're watching the video, this thing has a shadow. So this is a physical entity, whatever it is actually there. So is it an alien? Is it some sort of creature? We don't know what it is. So then the team actually did an investigation as well. They had a few weird things happening. They never seen the creatures, but at the end of it, they said that it was fact, that they couldn't debunk it. They had no idea what it was. I also, on a side note, just want to point out that a lot of the crew kept commenting on how they had never seen anything like that before. All of their years in their line of work, they had never seen anything like it. And for number 1, I have the Deanna Simpson case. So Deanna was experiencing some, paranormal activity. A news crew came in and decided to do an investigation. And they even admitted when the broadcast was over that they were going in and kind of like, they didn't really buy it. They didn't really believe it. But when they left, they were shook. They were legit like, this is real. When they were there investigating, one of the news reporters got scratched.
Did you get scratched?
The other news reporter was talking about how she was getting pinched and kind of manhandled and stuff.
So far in this house, Nick has been scratched. I've been touched and pinched. We've seen strange lights on the walls and heard noises.
And you actually see at one point what looks like a shadow figure hand dart across the camera when they were filming. Deanna had also had a picture that she had gotten off of a deer cam of a shadow figure inside the house. There's also another one where she is talking to the figure, telling it, hey, close that door, basically, if you can, and he does. So when you're thinking like, okay, well, sounds like a typical, I've heard this story a million times. It's probably what you're thinking. What made this one stand out so much to me was how the crew went in very kind of smug. And I mean, when this guy got scratched, look at his face. You can tell that he's like, wait a minute, what is going on here? Also, the female news reporter seems very shaken by the end of it. That to me is still to this day probably one of the most authentic hauntings I've ever seen. It just seems too real. So that's it. That's my top 5 most convincing paranormal videos / photos that I have ever seen. I'm sure there is plenty more out there that I can probably try to snoop through and find more to make more videos. Again, if you have any stories or videos or pictures that you would like to share, please send them to sharewithmamasam@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like, you can leave a comment down below if you would rather share your story there, or maybe a little bit of information there, or even something that you think that I would be interested in watching. So don't forget, guys, question everything, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.